Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to have a look at the Beats Studio Buds, which I know a lot of you are interested in, so without further ado, let's get started. So the Studio Buds are the latest offering from Beats, and the first thought I had when taking them out of the box was how tiny these buds were. They have this tapered shape with the control button on top, and this unusual form factor actually makes it easier to grab the buds, whether they are inside the case or in your ears, so I find the design rather clever in that regard, with one caveat which we will talk about in a minute. In terms of build quality, the buds are made from plastic, nothing outstanding there, but the packaging itself is made from 92% plant-based materials, sourced from recycled fiber and sustainable forest, which is always good to hear. The Studio Buds weigh in at around 5.2 grams each, and with the medium-sized ear tips they are really comfortable, but the fit is not 100% secure as the earbuds tend to move a bit around in my ears. That's an issue which the large ear tips could fix for me, even if they did that at the expense of comfort, as I found the pressure coming from using the larger tips a bit too much in the long run. But that's just my ears and my experience, and there is a third set of small-sized tips in the box for you to try, and of course you can always use any third-party ear tips as well if you want to improve either the fit or the comfort of the buds. I got better results using my Comply memory foam tips, but back to the ear tips which come with the buds, I couldn't find one that would make me absolutely happy both in terms of fit and comfort. But it doesn't mean I couldn't do my usual workouts wearing the buds, because they can do the job with some readjusting time to time, but I would not call them sport earbuds by any stretch of the imagination, even if they are IPX4 rated, sweat and rainproof. They are better suited to be used for commuting and traveling or during any casual activity throughout the day. Onto the case, it's small, it's easily pocketable, and it's made entirely from plastic. And there is nothing wrong with that, but I've seen better and more solidly built cases in this price range. All that said, the case does its job of protecting and charging the buds, and it looks great in this bright red color in my opinion. The lid is a bit squeaky, but it's not too loose, and as I said, the design of the buds themselves makes it easy to take them out or put them back inside, so that's perfectly fine. What is not fine at all, however, is the omission of wireless charging. So that leaves us with the USB-C port as the only option to charge the case, which can store power for up to 16 hours of use, and that combined with the 8 hours of single charge battery life of the buds, you get a total playtime of 24 hours. And that's with ANC turned off. With active noise cancelling on, it goes down significantly. Quick charging, or as Beats call it, the fast fueling feature, can give you an hour of use in only 5 minutes. Onto the connection, signals are solid and pairing is fast and easy with both iOS and Android devices, which is kind of a unique feature amongst products coming from Apple or Beats. The reason why the Studio Buds work seamlessly with not only iOS but with Android as well is that these buds don't have a special Apple-made silicone inside, as Beats were trying to accommodate Android users a bit more than they did before. The buds come with Bluetooth version 5.2 and they support the SBC and the AAC audio codecs. There is single bud mode, but there is no multi-point use support, nor there is audio sharing, both of which features are available on AirPods and work well within the Apple ecosystem. And since we are talking about Apple-specific features, the Beats Studio Buds support spatial audio and Dolby Atmos in Apple Music, but when playing movies on an iPad or an iPhone, it's not supported at all. But you get the Find My Bud feature on both iOS and Android. So in terms of connection and features, the Studio Buds are kind of a mixed bag, and they do not have the Apple Bubble advantage you might expect as an iOS user, but at the same time these buds are more suitable for Android users than any of the AirPods or Beats earbuds that came before, which is a new approach I'm personally very happy to see.
The two beamforming microphones deliver a decent level of clarity during phone calls in quiet environments, as you can hear. The minute you find yourself in a situation with more ambient noise around you, this is what you can expect from the buds and the noise cancelling algorithm in terms of voice transmission quality.
Now, next up are the controls. We have a physical button on each bud to control play, pause, tracks, ambient modes and phone calls. There is no volume control available on the buds as of making of this review, but it might be added later down the road through a firmware update. Not sure if that ever happens, but let's stay positive. There is an app for Android in which you can remap the press and hold action to either control ambient modes or to activate the voice assistant, which works with both Siri and the Google Assistant. But the single, double and triple tap actions are not customizable, and they do the exact same thing on both earbuds, and that's probably why there was no room left for the volume controls, for example, and that makes no sense to me. The physical buttons work very well regardless, reaction times are fast, but there is one major design flaw. It's one thing that there are no inner sensors, so autoplay pause is a no-no, but I found that I keep accidentally pressing the button when I put the buds back in my ears, making the music or video playback pause unintentionally every single time. So that kind of works as an inverse autoplay pause in my case, and it's a bit frustrating. Probably I'm doing something wrong here, and more than likely I could avoid the problem by paying a little attention to how I grab the buds when I put them back in my ears, but that's an issue I've never encountered before on any other earbuds, so I thought I would mention it to you. Maybe it's the buttons that are too easy to press, or that tapered shape of the earbuds is not that clever from a usability point of view after all, or simply it just doesn't work for me. But other than that, the buttons work well in general, even if with a limited functionality. And the Beats app on Android have a very limited feature set too. Besides controlling the ANC modes, the app allows you to remap the press and hold action, you can rename the buds and download software updates, and that's all there is really. On iOS you don't even get a separate app, as you get all the settings and options integrated into the operating system itself. So there is not much you can do on the software side of things, and you cannot really tinker with the settings of the ANC either, but I have to say that I'm impressed by the performance of the active noise cancellation. You have three different modes: ANC on, ANC off and transparency. Transparency mode sounds quite natural, there are no over-amplified noises and no harsh edges to be found anywhere. So that's good, but what's even better is the ANC itself. At lower frequencies I found it as effective as the Sony WF-1000X Mark IV, but at higher pitch noises the Sony buds still do a better job than the Beats. But considering the price difference between the two, I would say the performance of the Studio Buds is really great. Compared to the Edifier Nearbuds Pro, which I described as one of the best ANC earbuds regardless of price in its own review, the Beats Studio Buds can easily keep up in most situations, and I did not find any meaningful difference between the two. I know that most reviewers were not that impressed by the ANC of the Beats Studio Buds, but somehow in my ears and with the large ear tips it works really well. There is only one caveat, and that's the louder than average hiss you get with the ANC turned on, but I still found it acceptable in everyday use. And now let's see what sound the 8.2mm dynamic drivers can produce. The bass is punchy and powerful enough, but it's far from being overly dominant or boomy. The bottom octaves are resonating nicely without trying to draw too much attention to themselves. And that gives a chance for the mid-range to breathe, which I personally always welcome. So the mids are clear and they have a great presence in the mix. Vocals are engaging and forward enough to my liking. The highs are detailed and the whole presentation is full of energy, which I quite like with most genres, but there is a tendency for the higher frequencies to become a bit harsh, especially at higher volume levels. The maximum volume is not particularly loud, but it's certainly loud enough for 95% of people, and it's a touch louder than, let's say, the Sony WF-1000X Mark IV. But the sound, as I just said, can get a bit too harsh at times, so even if protecting your ears was not a good enough reason to stay away from listening to the buds at 100% volume, the ear-piercing highs will force you to pull down the volume ever so slightly. That all of course depends on what songs and genres you like, but again, some warmth in the highs could greatly improve the sound of the buds. What I found no fault with was the soundstage and the imaging, as the soundstage is wide enough, not compressed at all, and every little element of the music has its own well-defined spot in the three-dimensional space between your two ears. Spatial audio and Dolby Atmos on iOS devices takes it even a step further, but I still find it a bit too processed and unnatural, and that has nothing to do with the earbuds, it's the technology itself which is not my personal favorite. But the balanced and open sound of the Beats Studio Buds is something I could enjoy in the long run. But how does it compare to the Sony WF-1000X Mark IV, for example? Well, the sound of the Beats buds is a bit less impactful in the bass, but more open in the mid-range, and I prefer how the Sony buds handle the highs a bit better. On iOS you get to EQ the Beats Studio buds without a third-party app, but on Android the Beats app does not offer you such option, while the Sony app does not only have EQ on both platforms, but a plethora of other features and settings too, including customizable controls and active noise cancelling. Moving on to a more level playing field, let's bring in the Edifier NeoBuds Pro and the JBL Reflect Mini NC, which cost roughly the same as the Studio buds, as they both come in under €150 or pounds. When it comes to the sound differences between the Edifier and the Beats, it's very similar to what I experienced with the Sony, as the NeoBuds Pro have a lot more bass, a slightly less pronounced mid-range, and more rolled off highs than the Studio Pro. I found the Edifier buds more comfortable to use without the need of using third-party ear tips. The Edifier buds are better suited for sports in my opinion, due to their better fit, their more intense sound, and their IP54 rating, which is just a step above the IPX4 you get with the Beats. Both buds have their quirks when it comes to their controls, but in general the physical buttons on the Beats work better than the touch controls on the NeoBuds Pro. Battery life is similar on both, and neither of the two cases support wireless charging. Onto the JBL Reflect Mini NC, these buds are my choice when it comes to workouts. You get the stabilizer fins, you get an IPX7 rating and a more robust build quality in general with the JBL. Their sound is warmer and more bass heavy than what you get from the Beats, and the touch controls work better and offer more functionality than the buttons on the Studio buds. And the same can be said about the JBL app, it has more features than the Beats. What the Beats buds do significantly better than the JBL is the active noise cancelling. The battery life of the Beats is slightly better, but again, neither buds can offer Qi wireless charging. So the competition is fierce, but as you can see, the Beats Studio buds can easily hold their own against the best in the category. Their ANC is top of the class, their sound is balanced and energetic, their battery life is good, so is the phone call quality. The build quality and design are great too, with the one caveat regarding the physical buttons. I would love to see wireless charging and a few more custom options in the app too, but maybe that's too much to ask from an Apple product at this stage. But the biggest advantage from an Android user's point of view is that these buds were designed to be not only used with iPhones and iPads, but basically any device without losing out on features, and I quite like that idea. Of course, iOS users might miss a few cool features compared to what they can get from other earbuds with an Apple-made chip inside, so that's something you have to keep in mind too. But would I buy the Studio buds if I had $150? Well, apparently I did, as this review wouldn't be happening otherwise, but if I had to choose only one pair of earbuds for everyday use, I'm not quite sure if these would be my first pick. But that doesn't mean I do not encourage you to put them on your list when shopping around in the category, especially if you are looking for something small with great active noise cancelling to be used for commuting or traveling, because that's where the Beats Studio buds can deliver their best in my opinion. And this was my review of the Beats Studio Buds Pro. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Your questions and comments are welcome as always. Thanks for watching. See you next time.